West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand why this is an issue.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Seven a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Jason Crow pulling an AOC, standing outside an ICE facility in Aurora, crying about his inability to get in on a Sunday. On a Sunday, he just showed up. It was like, let me in. Want to walk around. Give me a tour. Show me what's going on here. And it's not the first time he's done this. John Fabricatore saying that what Jason Crow did was performance art. Congressman Crow has visited the facility numerous times during the week. In the last year of Trump's presidency, he visited the same facility, this ICE facility in Aurora, 34 times. But somehow, in the 4 years under Biden, he only went twice. At least that's how much John Fabricatore can find. He wasn't concerned as much as this under Biden, JFab says. He visited in person 7 times since Trump was elected this time and was the last there on July 3rd. He knows the ICE office is closed on Sunday at the jail, and only the GEO contract detention officers and a limited staff are there. Having a limited staff on a Sunday is not safe for the contract employees to try to shut down the facility's detainee movement in order to escort around a member of Congress. He knew he would get denied on a Sunday, and then John Fabricatore even links to it the visitation log and the electronic visits paperwork.
Now, Jeff.
So he's got his receipts here.
Shout out to Neil, who just called, and he said he can't stick around. He's got to go, make money and stuff, do work. But he said he would rather pull a banana off the wall in an art museum and eat it than listen to what Jason Crow has to say about his ICE visit. I appreciate him connecting both hours. Thank you, Neil. I hope you have a good day.
And we're going to play you what Jason Crow actually said here after News and Comment with Blake Olson. But absolutely AOC moment. And, Bill, I just want to say this. I think this is the most important aspect of this. Yeah. Jason Crow taking the time, multiple times, all through the Trump administration and even a few times during the Biden administration, to show up, to do his due diligence. And when they show up, I've looked at some of this paperwork, Bill.
Yeah.
They analyze the number of people there, male, female. They look at COVID cases. They look at the number of meals being served. Man, oh man, do they do a detailed dive on the treatment of illegal aliens in the ICE holding facility in Aurora. But still until this day, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill Thorpe, Jason Crow has never once been to any of those apartment complexes where we had video evidence of members of Tren de Aragua carrying weapons around and intimidating, even to the point of torturing residents in these apartment complexes. To my mind, Jason Crow has never gone down there to talk to the people and deal with this.
I'm unaware of him doing that. So
he may have done a press conference outside, but did he meet with the victims?
No, not that we're aware of, and likely he would trumpet that, just in general. would likely talk
But you
about
remember when Danielle Jurinsky was raising all this, he met with immigrant NGOs to talk about how they're being spoken of poorly, the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, so he did this. And again, the thing that that and I appreciate you outlining it. The thing that popped up in my mind was the first time I saw him this weekend when he talked about this, that he was denied entrance to the ICE facility. The first thing that popped in my mind was, Sunday? It just was because again, I'm old enough to an age in which most things were closed on Sundays. So there were a whole lot of stores, there were a whole lot of places you couldn't go on a Sunday. So the idea that he would show up at this facility on Sunday, I just thought it was weird. That for me was the weirdest thing. I'm not certain that it is necessarily a direct, horrible critique of what he did, but the first thing that popped in my mind was, Sunday? It just was weird, just because I'm old.
Well, and he has every right to do it. He's correct with the way the law is written. And I went and looked this up, member of Congress can just show up to any ICE facility, okay? So he's allowed to do that. But as John Fabricatori points out, he seems to really like to do this. And he really likes to do it when Donald Trump's in office. And as we've pointed out, not so much concern with regards to, visiting the people that were being tortured, literally tortured. And I want to, and maybe I'm wrong, but has he ever met with Cindy Romero? Cindy Romero is the person who had to deal with bullet holes from Tren de Aragua in her car. She's the one that captured that video, and then Danielle Jurinsky had to help her move out and get her away from these gangs. And by the way, CBS 4 was doing a story yesterday about how these gangs are terrorizing other Venezuelan immigrants in the city of Aurora. You have gang activity. You have the New York Times saying that Danielle Jurinsky was right all along. Meanwhile, Jared Pohl is saying it's a figment of her imagination and Jason Crow meeting with immigrants' rights groups. I don't think he's ever met with Cindy Romero. And as John Fabricatori pointed out, this guy has been down to the ICE facility multiple times, over and over again, checking everything, line by line, dotting every I, crossing every T, with regards to how an illegal immigrant who shouldn't be in this country in the first place is treated, but his own constituents being tortured? No, he doesn't have time. He doesn't have time for that. And by the way, Bill, the reason he was down there on a Sunday is because Monday he's got to get back to Washington, D.C. There's important cocktail parties to attend.
Yes, very important. Yes.
So Sunday's the only day. Why doesn't everybody understand this is the day he has free?
Yeah.
Because the rest of the week, it's lobbyist steak dinners.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, if he wanted to have arrangements and swing by, normally, it's not outlined in the law, but there is some sort of a procedural thing that sometimes members of Congress give a 24-hour window and say, Correct. I'm showing up in 24 hours to let you know just to make sure everybody's there. But the reason that Crow said he didn't do it is because they put on a dog and pony show and they clean everything up and they might do that, but again, if you were showing up on a Sunday, we had Melissa call in and she's like, the DMV is not open on Sunday, government hours. She's like, come on, if we're talking about a government facility, what do you think as far as public access, you moron?
Correct.
Yeah. So
correct. That's brilliant. All right, we'll continue. Join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you on this. Does this inspire you? Is Jason Crow providing the right type of oversight in these abusive facilities, standing for human rights against a corrupt Trump administration? Or is he just a nincompoop AOC wannabe showing up on a Sunday when, the government's not open and complaining that he doesn't get the royal treatment when he's not willing to meet with his own constituents that are being abused and tortured by illegal immigrants? I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Bill, you got to read that line because I'm remote today. 720-819-5115. John Corbliss with the win there. 720-819-5115. Dan Caplis Law text line. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Very nice sound, man. Good Tuesday morning. 67 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 90 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
They destroyed his many parts of his first term. Now, it was still wildly successful because Trump is such a strong leader, but look what we're seeing now compared to his first term, and look at how much he's accomplishing now compared to his first term. That's what they were trying to prevent in his first term. His monumental accomplishments over the last 6 months, they tried to hobble the first time.
Attorney Mike Davis says this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy and Barry won't be protected by the statute of limitations. The communist left had a corrupt scheme to destroy who the American people duly elected. And now it's time for Barry and the Dirty Dems to be held accountable. Speaker Johnson on Barrygate.
In those processes, as we were preparing for those defenses, as we were investigating with our oversight responsibility and judiciary, we recognized that the people who are being called out now were involved in a scheme. We knew that it was a shameless, false set of accusations, and yet they perpetuated the lie on the American people, and they looked right into the camera and just lied, clearly. And they knew what they were up to the whole time. So there must be accountability for that. Because what it does ultimately, the greatest threat of all this is not just what they've done to President Trump as an individual, it's what they're doing to the institutions, even broader than that.
House Speaker Johnson also saying Monday there won't be a vote on releasing the Epstein-related files before Congress breaks in August. Ukrainian President Zelensky says renewed peace talks will be held with Russia tomorrow in Istanbul. I've only said that like 1,000 times. Istanbul. The previous two meetings in May and June resulted in the transfer of thousands of POWs and the remains of fallen military personnel being returned. HHS wants to bring changes to the nation's organ donation system. The decision comes after an investigation found that a Kentucky organization started the process to remove organs from people who weren't dead. House lawmakers holding a hearing today on safety issues and what can be done to improve the system. Denver Mayor Johnston upbeat about the city's progress during his first 2 years in office. State of the City address on Monday. He said the number of people living on the streets is down 45%.
We've reopened sidewalks to pedestrians and businesses. We have moved 7,000 people off the streets and moved 5,000 people into permanent housing. And in the process, we became the largest American city ever to end the cycle of street homelessness for veterans.
Johnston says Denver police will be turning its focus to handling quality of life crimes like theft and public drug use. About 15 years too late on that one. Let's go. The deranged Aurora dentist, Dr. James Craig, accused of poisoning his wife, allegedly, drugged her to try to stop her from interfering in a suicide attempt, his suicide attempt. That accusation was made Monday by a witness in the trial of Craig. Nicole Harmon testified that Craig told her that he drugged his wife, Angela, in 2019. She said Craig wanted to make sure his wife didn't wake up to stop him from killing himself. He went on to kill his wife.
Hey, Blake.
Yes.
I was just looking this up.
Yes, sir.
The Denver metro area over the past 3 years has spent $2 billion on homelessness.
Oh, is that all? What a deal.
For 7,000 people.
They got their money's worth, didn't they? $2 billion.
Yep.
Billion. Unbelievable. And you almost hit like 5 people today, and I almost hit one on the highway. They're
like zombies walking around.
No, you are exactly correct. That is what happened last week to me. And I talked about it. I still can't believe I almost killed a guy. He was all of a sudden, boom, emerges in the middle of a freaking 6-lane highway.
I-25, right?
I-25, northbound, right by 58th. He almost had a funeral at Grizzly Rose. I mean, it was incredible. I'm staring at him in the eyes. He's standing like right at the hash, the broken hash in the lanes. And it was, I have no idea how this guy survived it, but he was so strung out, high, God only knows what. I mean, he wasn't wearing any shoes. It's just crazy.
The entire Apollo program, by the way, was it was about $288 billion in today's dollars. But that was the entire program. The entire program. We spend $2 billion on 7,000 people getting out of homelessness.
Crazy.
$2 billion. It just goes back to that argument that we're just funding people's salaries at these NGOs at this point.
And when you walk out of the door there on your way to court, you're going to see about 20 homeless people, at least. Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
Let's go clean it up. Jeez. Let's see, what do we have? The Pentagon is pulling the Marines out of L.A. They were deployed there in response to enforce all the violent nut jobs there in Southern California. Those thousands of pages of the MLK files have been released, and they include FBI investigation notes, leads, and details about assassin James Earl Ray's former cellmate, according to Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard, who is having a great week so far, and it's only Tuesday.
By the way, Blake, did you see the family's concerns about some of the documents that were going to be released?
I did read a few. What did you see?
The family of Martin Luther King was saying, don't believe everything you read in the FBI files, because sometimes they're just allegations, and somebody said this thing, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Bro, this was so ironic to me yesterday, because I read the New York Times every day, right? I read. I think it was. Oh, gosh, I can't remember his name. But somebody once said I read the Bible in the New York Times so I can get both sides.
Right.
So I read the New York Times every day. But this was so ironic to me yesterday. The New York Times in one article is going, Donald Trump is hiding what could be in the Epstein files, because what is in there is clearly an accurate indictment of who Donald Trump is as it relates to his sexual proclivities. And then literally the next article was
don't believe
everything that's in the FBI files, because it could just be claims made up.
Yes.
And God forbid we ruin the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
Like literally that's what's written in the article.
Wow.
There's two articles next to each other. One,
right next to each other.
Donald Trump is hiding everything in the Epstein files because it's a total indictment of who he truly is. And then don't believe everything that's in the FBI files because we have to protect MLK's legacy. I was just sitting there going, and the editor doesn't see this.
No. And we wonder why people are confused when they gather their information. Oh, my goodness. That's funny, though. And they're right next to each other. Wow.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, don't get me started on MLK. I've learned a lot in the last year. A lot. That's another show for you, by the way. Yeah, that should be interesting, investigating that.
Isn't it fascinating how they bury a lot of his personal life in order to protect his legacy? But then everybody else is just free game. Like your personal life is just, especially if you're a Republican. If you're a Republican, your personal life becomes a way to destroy your career. If you're a Democrat, we hide your personal life to maintain your legacy.
I think Hunter Biden disagrees. Just saying.
That's true. That is true.
That's only because we have enough video evidence.
Again, just saying.
Speaking of Hunter,
because what we did is we watched Joe Biden turn 80, then 81, and then 82. We watched him get old in front of our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that does not mean that you're incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
And how can you measure whether someone is incapacitated or not?
Because we witnessed it. We watched it happen. That's why. Gosh. Man, it's getting wild out there. Cards.
Well, and then he admits to that he's taking Ambien. The president of the United States on Ambien. Like,
yeah, right. Well, what's wrong with that?
No, I've never taken the drug. I do have trouble sleeping. This is a
but that was
an
like every
ongoing
night.
issue between my wife and I, because my wife has this amazing ability. Amazing. I think at this point it's a superhuman ability to lie down, close her eyes, and fall asleep. Like, that is so amazing. For me, it's a 30, 45-minute dance through everything I didn't get done during the day and everything I'm still worried about and all that stuff to finally fall asleep. So I'm sensitive to the idea that you need help sometimes to fall asleep. And I've tried the melatonin gummies. That's weird. That puts you in a weird state. I'm now into, like, meditation and music to try to, like, get me to calm down and fall asleep. So I'm very sensitive to this. But I've heard that Ambien just puts you into la-la land.
Yeah,
and I've heard
that's what I
stories
hear.
of people, like, committing murders on Ambien and you know, all that other stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that
and who
also.
knows? I don't know. But I've heard that there's been some weird things attached to Ambien. And to know that our president was popping that stuff. God forbid we got hit with a nuke in the middle of the night.
Right. Exactly.
Could you imagine trying to rouse Joe Biden from an Ambien coma to get him to make a decision with regards to the lives of hundreds of millions of people?
Oh, my goodness. There were 20 people running that thing, at least.
Exactly right.
At least. Don't forget, Billy Thorpe tea when you need to sleep. That's what you need. Just get
What's
a
the Billy
box
Thorpe
of tea.
tea?
He has all that tea. He told you that the other
I've got
day.
a lot of tea. Yeah,
yeah, he's got a lot of tea.
There's nothing that's not really sleeping. The thing for me that I looked at that story with Hunter Biden and the idea that he'd been doing this and they gave him Ambien to sleep is, to me, you've overscheduled him before an important public appearance. You've overscheduled him. But
he's the president.
Wait, hang on.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. He's the president. Our current president is a golf enthusiast. They work his schedule around getting him on the links as often as possible. He's played a number of golf rounds so far in only the first 6 months. So that's scheduling. They didn't schedule Joe Biden properly. They all were well aware of some of the problems he was having, and even with the idea of sleep and making sure that he gets in a full 8 hours of being cogent and responsive. So they knew this. For me, don't blame the Ambien. For me, you overscheduled him the 24 hours before this important appearance. That's it. That's the easiest thing. This is on with Hunter yelling and screaming about the staff and everything else. No, everybody's involved here. You could have said, Dad, slow down. You could have done anything else. No, they overscheduled him. They ran him too hard before he was going into a big debate. Yeah, there are a lot of candidates that take a couple of days off the trail if they're not in the White House and go and kind of huddle for a number of days. It happens all the time. That's okay. And he could have done the same thing. Yeah, but he didn't. And because of that, he had to try to use pharmaceuticals in order to gain sleep. Yeah. And there were some negative consequences. Yep. Yeah. For me, it's the overscheduling. That's the dumbass part about this. They overscheduled him. It's on them. It's on them.
What are some of the side effects of Ambien?
Oh, there are probably many at his age, I would imagine.
Right, especially when you think about some of the other mental issues that he had.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. I just think that's dangerous.
Dry mouth.
Extremely dangerous. Yeah, exactly. They overscheduled him when they ran him in 2020 and just thought that he could do it. But they did it. They pulled it off so far, but we all know what happened.
Ambien can bring about agitation, bizarre behavior, aggressiveness. How about whispering into a microphone and then yelling really loudly?
think you found your answer right there. It was
hallucinations, worsening depression, or suicidal
it was
thoughts.
The Ambien.
Yeah, just sleepwalking, sleep driving, sleep eating, even having sex while asleep. And we all just handed this to the President of the United States, who is already mentally
wonder how many
decline.
times that happened over the last 20 years. 64 in Lafayette, 65 in England. I'm seeing all these pictures now. 67 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
No one, especially the president, is above the law.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast will have fair skies starting Tuesday. Temps will be in the low 60s, then we'll get back to around 90 or the low 90s. Morning sunshine with more scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Showers and thunderstorms looking likely Wednesday and Thursday. A few stronger ones, heavier showers at times. Highs will be in the mid-80s with lows upper 50s. Skies clear in the overnight. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call 720-851-1691. Or visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Jason Crow, the Mile High Mockingbird, outside an ICE facility in Aurora, acting like AOC. You remember that image of AOC at the parking lot with the chain linking, crying for everybody that's in cages? Well, Jason Crow making a similar public plea. Let's play the video, or the audio, Bill, if we can.
I'm Congressman Jason Crow from Colorado's 6th District, and I'm outside of the Aurora ICE processing facility. This is an ICE detention center that's run by the GEO Corporation, and I just attempted to conduct an oversight visit of the facility pursuant to federal law. So Public Law 118-47, Section 527 says that members of Congress must be provided immediate access to facilities like the one behind me here to conduct oversight. Again, I was just in there and was just denied access in violation of federal law to this facility. So listen, one of my biggest obligations as a member of Congress is to conduct oversight, to show up and to make sure the taxpayer dollars are being used in accordance with my constituents' values, but also in accordance with law. And that's certainly not what is happening here today.
So, Bill, to your point, I think we should go make a video of us wandering around a DMV on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Going, I'm here as a member of the citizenry to check on my taxpayer dollars. Oh, they're not being used. There's no one here. Why can't I get access to this building? And then pull on the building and go, the doors are locked. It's Sunday. What is going on here? Where are my tax dollars? Because it's a Sunday. Jason Crow, the Mile High Mockingbird. Now, John Fabricatore, great friend of the show, opponent to Jason Crow, responded to Jason's video, writing, "This was performance art. Congressman Crow has visited the facility numerous times. During the week, in the last year of Trump's first presidency, he visited the facility 34 times. In 4 years under Biden, I was able to locate 2 on-site visits. First presidency, 34 times. Biden's presidency, 2. He wasn't much concerned under Biden," John Fabricatore writes, with question marks. He visited in person 7 times since Trump was elected this time and was last there on July 3rd. He knows the ICE office is closed on Sunday at the jail, and only the GEO contract detention officers and a limited staff are there. Having a limited staff on a Sunday is not safe for the contract employees to try to shut down the facility's detainee movements, which is what you got to do when you have a VIP on perimeter, right? Now we have to adjust everything. We had Jason Crow. We can't just let Jason wander around with the inmates. He can meet with them, but for Jason's own safety. Believe me, Jason, you probably missed the videos from Cindy Romero. These are not necessarily the people you want to go have a picnic with. Okay, so to adjust everything on a limited staff with an ICE office that's closed so he can get his little video done, it's not fair to these people. John Fabricatori writes, he knew he would get denied on a Sunday. And then he links to Jason Crow's visits and inquiries, and this page is huge. Okay? Jason Crow calls this the ICE Accountability Report. And it's all the times that he's met there, as well as data regarding electronic reports to be submitted. Bill, it's like 4 a month going back to 2019.
Yeah. And part of it comes from 2019, and I appreciate having a conversation off air with Suzanne, who's listening this morning, and I appreciate it. She was inquiring as to whether or not Crow had been denied entrance to the facility before. She thought it had, and I was unaware, and so I went back and looked, and he released a letter in February of 2019 about a denial to the ICE facility, but it appears I've gotten a couple of different sources that the new contractor, GEO Group, had just taken over an expansion of the facility, and they were not prepared. That the contractors were like, we don't have the procedures, everything in place, and you didn't let us know you were coming beforehand. They said you can come back anytime, we can do this. And since then, it seems like they've done everything they need to. And Crow at the time, and this would have been February of 2019, made a public announcement that his office would be visiting weekly at that facility in order to do oversight. And so I'm just saying the numbers don't say that he visited weekly. So his promise of visiting weekly didn't seem to pan out per se. However, it does seem that the first time he was denied entrance to the facility, it was because of this subcontractor. Again, the same subcontractor that's there without other official ICE employees there on a Sunday. The strange thing is, I can't find anything where Jason went around and complained and yelled and screamed. He did have some consternation over it, but it wasn't the same thing. And when Fabricatori is saying that this seems performative, this does seem performative, especially, this is what I come to on the conclusion here, is that if they've been visiting the ICE facility this many times, you know the staffing, you know the procedures, you know the process. And if Crow's office doesn't know of the staffing changes on Sunday, how much oversight are you involved in? How much information are you gathering about that facility if you are not concerned with or understand the staffing that exists on certain days of the week? You haven't had that conversation. You haven't talked to them about this. Again, how much conversation have you had with the individuals involved in taking care of the illegal immigrants and their care? Is this just wandering around and looking, or is this something in which you're actually concerned? Because my guess is that if you were really concerned and you were having a conversation with the individuals that are in charge at the ICE facility in Aurora, you would understand the staffing on a Sunday. Now, while it may be a surprise, and yes, Jason Crow is allowed by federal law to come in and get access to that facility anywhere, if it isn't safe based on lower staffing, you wouldn't want to put him into that situation. So, yeah, just saying.
That's a good point. But, okay, so, yes, Jason Crow is exactly right. He can show up whenever he wants.
Yep.
Whenever. He's allowed to. And I looked up the law, and he's correct. He can just airdrop in. Yeah. He's allowed to do that. Now, his staff has to give 24 hours notice. So that's a little caveat in the law. But, all right, so this is kind of, the way I see this is, when you have a friend over and you're like, hey, you know what, come back anytime. And they're like, tomorrow at 10? And you're like, Yeah, I guess. You can come back tomorrow at 10 if you want. All right, next day at 11. Yeah, okay. All right, I'm going to come back the third day at 9. And now you're going, okay. You've taken the permission to come back anytime a little too literally, okay? And in this case, Jason Crow, yes, by law, can airdrop in. But, Bill, these reports are so frequent, and I've got to imagine quite a burden on the staff. So one of the reports he has here, I mean, just about each one of these 13 pages get into very detailed things. So he wants food service opening and closing checklists, okay? What time was the food delivered? Bill, what was the temperature of the chicken nuggets served?
Oh, wow.
This is in one of the reports, okay? 178.1 degrees. What was the temperature of the beans served? The rice, okay? The chili, mac and cheese. This is how detailed Jason Crow's staff is. They want to know what the temperature of the rinse was in the kitchen facilities to clean.
Oh, that's important, though. That is vitally important. That's really, really important for someone that has worked in food service. I understand the idea.
I understand that,
but you need to know the temperature. Yeah.
I mean, this is not just oversight, Bill. This isn't just, I'm going to make sure that there's not torture going on. This is, I mean, detailed number of people taking showers in the facility, the temperature of the beans. The temperature of the beans.
Yeah, but again, the kitchen should know that. Because and the reason why is because you can't serve spoiled food or food that especially
I get
storage
that,
and everything else.
But a member of Congress?
Again, the part for me is that all of this information should already exist inside the facility. The assemblance of the information, a little bit trite, and yeah, sure, it's busy work for someone, but it shouldn't be that difficult to assemble. And I understand where Representative Crow is going on this one, because the question about is, you didn't know. Why are all these people in this facility getting sick? You didn't know that the rinse that was being used inside the dishwasher wasn't going to be enough to kill all of the bacteria and germs that are on all of the utensils and cups and plates that the inmates are using. There is that. Is he possibly going a little bit too far and a little bit minutiae stuff? Yeah, sure. But all that stuff exists. All that stuff exists.
I get that all this stuff exists, but he's also detailing the books that are in the law library. So I'm going to go back to my original point, though.
Yeah.
Okay? This is multiple times a month. This is literally weekly.
Yeah.
He's getting reports to his office on the temperature of the beans in the ice facility.
Yeah.
And yet, to my knowledge, never once met with Cindy Romero, whose car was shot with bullets, who was intimidated by Venezuelan illegal alien gangs to the point she had to flee her apartment with the help of Danielle Jurinsky. This made international news. And yet on a weekly basis, he knows the temperature of the beans in the ice facility. That's where I just go, this is, to John Fabricatori's point, performative. This is performative. You can do the research, you can have oversight, but a weekly deep dive into the temperature of the beans and the books in the library where your own constituents are being tortured by Venezuelan illegal aliens and you're not meeting with them? You got your priorities wrong, Jason Crow. Thoughts, Bill?
Yeah, it's a fair critique, the idea that he hasn't met with her. However, I'm okay with some of the minutia only because I've worked in those kitchens. I've worked in those kitchens where You had to record temperature of the rinse water. The dishwashers had to do that at the beginning of their shift. I've worked where there were logs on what's the temperature of the cold storage inside of the two different freezers. I've worked with chefs that went around and had a thermometer and would check the stuff that was out on the prep kitchen counter to make sure that nothing was going sour. So I get it. Is it a little bit too much of the minutia? Does he probably need it? No. But it's a good critique. The fact that he hasn't sat down with those families. But again, all of that stuff exists inside of the facility. It's kind of a pain to draw it together. Is it a little bit performative? Yeah. The thing that rubs me wrong is the idea that showing up on a Sunday, because given the number of facility tours that he and his staff have done, given the amount of information they have from the facility, they should have been aware of the staffing issues on a Sunday to begin with. And so they should have been, that's the part that kind of rubs me wrong, is the idea of showing up, like Melissa said earlier, showing up at Sunday at the DMV and then complaining that the government office that you pay for isn't open. But it's never open on a Sunday. And staffing's always lighter at the facility on Sundays. He should know that. And if his staff doesn't know that, what are you researching? Are you not talking about staff numbers? Is that not part of the report that you go through as far as what is the inmate to staff ratio? That seems to be very, very important. In fact, I would submit that in many cases, that staff to inmate ratio might be more important than the temperature of the dishwashing water, than the temperature of the chicken inside of the facility, than the temperature of the freezers, than the number of law books in a law library. The ratio between staff and inmate is probably of a preeminence, because that will tell you how the ICE facility can be handled, whether or not they can manage anything that gets out of hand. So, yeah, he should know the staffing more than anything else. He should absolutely know what the staffing is like.
Staffing, and if his constituents are being tortured by illegal immigrants. I feel like that's something you should definitely know, Jason Crow. Now, Bill, I got a question for you. ICE is looking to expand and bring up some different properties, including some down in like Walsenburg. So Colorado may expand, I think, up to 6 new ICE facilities here in the state. ICE detention facilities. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm curious. How's it going to be expanded? Who's going to be running them? And of course, you also have the NIMBY, not in my backyard. Have they talked to those communities? And what I mean by that is that we're talking about putting these into smaller communities. If you're a community of several hundred, 1,000, 1,500, would you like several hundred illegal immigrants in a facility near you? Is that where they should be housed and staged? What does that do? And so that's the question that I have. And what I'm really worried about is that rather than this being a federal jobs program, this becomes a contractor jobs program.
Oh, and so they bring them in?
Yeah, and then they're contractors. And the issue being that if it's a contracted facility and the contractors are running it, in order for the contractors to make more money, they need more people. And so there's a profit motive to putting people in the facility. And that's a bit of an issue I've got when we get into the idea of contractors with these other facilities, is because in order for them, one, they have to charge us more than they're paying for the care of the inmate. Two, they need to constantly grow that population of inmates, or they don't grow revenue. That's a balance I'm curious about. How do we figure that one out? Because I'm not certain we want to make illegal immigration and housing illegal immigration a profit motive business. Where does that lead us?
I find it interesting, too, and I wonder if it's specific to states that decide to be sanctuary states. So if the federal government's like, oh, yeah, you guys like illegal immigrants? We're going to just house a ton of them with you guys. And we'll bring in lots of facilities, and you can hang out with all your illegal immigrant friends all you want. So I wonder if that's part of the decision-making that's coming from the federal government. I don't mind the jobs at all. Walsenburg's a closed prison. Reopen it. Put the illegals there until they're deported. And so long as it results in jobs for Coloradans,
yeah,
there you go.
And here's the idea. If it is the idea that, hey, Colorado, you're a sanctuary city, so we're going to house all these illegal immigrants there, okay. But you're also bringing a whole bunch of federal dollars into those communities as well. So is that necessarily a punishment? The idea of a huge federal spend inside of Walsenburg, they may be pissed that Colorado's a sanctuary city. They're going to be super happy to have all that extra federal cash.
It would not surprise me when it's all said and done and history looks back on it under the Trump Polis Mike Johnston battle that took place during this time in history, that we lost Space Force and gained like 6 illegal alien detention facilities. All the politics that takes place. All right, join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Now, I got to warn everybody. I'm about to turn over the show.
Danger, Will Robinson.
To Bill Thorpe himself.
Danger. I know. I know. You're absconding. You are cutting out early. You've only worked a half day, and you're like, I'm out of here.
I'm out. But I'd much rather hang out with you than the people that are being arraigned on public urination.
I know. You got to tell us, where did you urinate, and why are you being arraigned today? No, I'm kidding. So you're going down, and you're going to sit in the court, but it's not about you being charged. Tell the listeners the story. What are you doing?
This is when I got kicked in the back, sucker kicked in the back by a young man who's being arraigned on assault charges today. And as I've said in other videos, this is not something I want to do. Like, sitting in a Denver court is not at all interesting to me. But you got to send a message. And I appreciate Chris Vanderveen from Channel 9 bringing this up too. I mean, if you are a member of the media, you have the freedom to film in public, and you should without fear of being assaulted. And I would say the same thing. Kyle Clark should be able to go to a Tea Party rally or a pro-life rally or whatever and be able to film, be able to question, and be able to speak without fear of assault. And so this is about the broader movement, freedom of the media, freedom of the press. So that's why I'm going to head down there. But Bill's got some great discussions coming up. Join the conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. We all love Bill Thorpe.
This will be interesting.
All right. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, August 27th, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 1595 South Colorado Boulevard in Denver. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, August 27th at IHOP.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Jason Crow says he was denied entrance to the ICE facility in Aurora on
I'm Congressman
Sunday.
Jason Crow from Colorado's 6th District, and I'm outside of the Aurora ICE processing facility. This is an ICE detention center that's run by the GEO Corporation, and I just attempted to conduct an oversight visit of the facility pursuant to federal law.
He was denied entrance, but is that a big deal? He showed up on a Sunday. Now, John Fabricatore, friend of the show, says that Crow, since 2019, has been able to visit the facility 34 times during the final year of Trump's first term. However, during the entirety of the Biden term, he only seemed to visit twice. This is according to visitor logs that Fabricatore has been nice enough to go through. For you, our audience, and us, and everybody else out there, you can check out him online on X at John Fabricatore. John Fab is his tag there. He said that Crow should have known that the facility is not fully staffed on a Sunday. Also said that this is somewhat of a performance by Crow. Do you agree? He and his staff have over 34 visits in Trump's final term, 2 during the Biden administration. Should he have been aware they weren't fully staffed on a Sunday? He could have shown up on a Monday, correct? We might talk more about that. But also, I want to talk to you when we get back about is the release by Tulsi Gabbard, the information about the Obama administration, the biggest political scandal in history? That's the charge. We'll talk about it next. 710 KNUS.